Happy Friday. Man, I keep missing that button. Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing? Oh my gosh, we're chatting it up here in the chat. We are chatting it up. Oh my gosh. Adele is here. Rosie is here. Annie. Eight passenger one lately. Okay. I don't know what that means. Jean is here. Who else came in? Joan is here. Did I say Annie? Sandy, I'm so glad. I want to show you what I've been doing. I mean, I just started it, but I want you to see it. Oh my gosh. Okay, I think oh, and Nisi's listening. She's cooking and listening. Trying to get down to the bottom. Joyce is here. Hi, Joyce. I'm getting there. Mary Webb, Denny Banani. Oh, you got a new crock pot today. Had mine since the 80s and the plug was showing age. Yeah. Yeah, when the plug looks burnt. Mm-mm. Hi, Margaret. Good to see you. Okay. I'm looking. I'm looking. Maureen. Hello. Oh, thank you. Yes, our favorite judge, Judge Newman. Mm-hmm. Yes. Hey, Bree. Thank you. Happy Friday. Kat, hello. Good to see you. Oh, he has such a good heart and it just shows right through, doesn't it? Okay, you guys, come on in. I just saw that they had the sentencing posted here. The video has been posted for the sentencing. So, y'all want to jump right in and watch that and then we'll come back and I'll show you my what I'm working on. So I want to, this is the sentencing for this is the car death couple. I don't even know how to say her name. I don't know how to say it. Does not surprise me. They were both found guilty, but I have not seen this, so I wanted to watch it. So let's do that. I'm going to hit this one from Law and Crime, okay? Hello, there's Katie, Naughty Knitting Sacks. I'm glad you came in tonight. Girl, you've been cranking those bags out, and I want them all. I want them all. Holy moly. Hey, Sharon. Okay, I want yeah, Pagalangan. Pagalangan. It's a hard one. It's a hard one. Okay, here we go. Let's see what they did. Well, first I need to share my screen. There we go. And I think I can talk for just a minute because Pangalangan, Rita Pangalangan, and her is it her husband, her boyfriend? I'm not really sure. His name was Larry King or is Larry King. Takes a couple minutes. They're coming in. Let me see if I can forward it just a little bit. Okay. And it's really hard to hear. So we're going back to Colleton County. This is in Ohio. And this is our favorite judge, Judge Newman, who was the judge in the Murdaugh case. So it's just good to see his face again. I don't know. I just really like him. North Carolina, not Ohio. Sorry. Thank you. I, it's as loud as it can be. Oh, I know. Oh, that case was crazy. So we go forward. Do I go forward a little bit more? Oh, I remember him. He was in the other case. He testified during Murdaugh. Okay, I need to get. Oh, this is the whole day. This is 10 hours. Good God. Hold on, y'all. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry. I had it way back in the beginning of the day today. We do not need to watch 10 hours. We can do that some other time. Yeah, I was noticing that too. And he wasn't told otherwise, right? Okay, this must be during the verdict. Sometimes it'll give you a picture, and I'm not getting a picture. So I'm going to mute that while I look for it. You watched 8 hours of it today. Today must have been the best day of the trial then. You're welcome, Marine. But yes, I definitely getting your posts. I'm trying to find the spot where where it came down. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna leave it right there, and then we'll talk for a minute while we're waiting for it to come up. Why she did it? If it had been my kid, I would have broken the window out, and to hell with the costs. Yep. And he can say now because now he says, "Well, I offered to break the what do you call that on the top, the sky glass on the top. He wanted to break that." So So we found out during this trial that these two people, she was teacher of the year, by the way, teacher of the year. And the daughter was a teenager with problems. She had lots of problems. She could do nothing for herself. Nothing. And they put her in this car. This man carried her to the car, and he closed the door, and he says it was running and that the air conditioner was on. He says that. Then the two of them went up onto the porch, and for several hours they could be seen groping each other, fighting at times, all kinds of things going in and out of the house, but never going back to check on that child. Never once. Yes, she was special needs. Okay, row 88. Whoop whoop. 6 hours. I believe that's right. I think they played like 4 hours on here for the jury. I think they played about 4 hours for the jury.
I understand there's a verdict. You may bring the jury.
And supposedly they were doing drugs at the time. Now that's him in the white shirt. That's the Larry King. I don't know. Oh, Rita's on the other. This large man who is a lawyer. On the other side of him is Rita. There she is. Okay, thank you, Katie. Appreciate you coming in. Try to come back. Evidently.
Have you reached the verdict? Is it unanimous? Okay, if you'll pass it to the clerk, pass it to me, and you may be seated.
I've not seen this part myself, you guys, so I wanted to watch it too.
Okay, the defendants will rise. Madam Clerk, if you will publish the verdicts. State of South Carolina versus indictments number 20, 2019 GS 15 0078 2022 GS 15 00710 2022 GS 15 00814. We the jury in the above caption on the charge of murder of Stephen A. by the defendant guilty. Oh my God! Oh my God! We the jury in the above caption case on the charge of great bodily injury of a child. We find the defendant guilty. We the jury in the above caption case the charge of federal conspiracy find the defendant not guilty.
Having trouble hearing what she's saying though.
Yes. Call the name of the signed by the foreperson. Yes. State of South Carolina versus Larry King. Indictments 2019 GS 15 00780 2022 GS 15 00710
Okay, so guilty of murder, guilty of child endangerment, but not conspiracy. If I have that correct. Like I said, I have not seen this yet. I was busy today.
Hands are raised. Any, the verdict appears to be a unanimous verdict. Any individual polling requested. Hey, Madam Clerk, if you will poll the jury as relates to verdicts following this paneling. Juror numbers stand individually and pose the questions to them. Is this your verdict? Is this still your verdict? Number yes.
You know,
The jury has been polled. It's unanimous verdict of
he seems like he has straightened out a little bit. I don't know what he's been doing, but if he's been in jail, he's been bulking up. So he's off the drugs and bulked up. And on the other hand, she looks like she never quit. She just has them sunken face, like she's been still. I mean, maybe she's been tortured by what she did in jail, and that's her fate, of course.
guilt. Any post-trial motions?
Hey, Maribel. Glad you're here, Gigi. Welcome in. Hello, Lorna.
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you. Any response by the state?
Well, he's scared shitless, right,
This
of what he
matters were
did.
properly submitted to the jury for the jury's consideration. They studied the evidence carefully. The evidence was appropriately placed before them for their consideration. They have reached a verdict that is unanimous, and the court respectfully denies each motion made by each defendant. The court likewise denies a motion for new trial as to each defendant. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all. I know you all didn't know what you had in store coming in here Monday. And,
Well, they got through this one pretty quick, didn't they?
spectators, and all of a sudden got thrown into the mix and realized that the burden was totally on your shoulders to listen to the evidence, stay focused, and go back and
We were talking about that, Gigi. This is one of our favorite judges.
quite obviously it's a heart-wrenching set of facts and circumstances, totally terrible, almost unimaginable, yet these are the facts of life that we have to deal with in today's
That's Lori.
environment.
Hey, Lori. Good to see ya.
Some things occurred that were so extreme you just wouldn't believe, or couldn't hardly believe it to be true.
Gotta skip it. I'm gonna skip it just a bit. Hold on. It's hard to hear him. Well, he needs to accept responsibility. He picked a bad woman to hang out with, doing drugs and doing the things he did, and then to do what he did and not pay any attention to that child. Yeah, I know. But I still have to talk into him, Annie. They still have to talk into them things. It's coming, though. He's just trying to say that he wants to talk about what a great guy he's been since this happened, and a great guy that he was in spite of what he did and his drugs. It's a little too late, yes.
Yes, sir.
But it is our system, and they have to say what they want to say. Grateful for God.
State regarding Mr. Mr. Phillips.
List of carrier letters. I'd like to hand up to your honor a lot of family and friends. She has family support system, friend system, and many of them have provided letters in support of education.
She appears to be mouthing to tell, but she's looking at somebody over there and she's mouthing to them, tell so-and-so I love them.
She's been working and recently was married.
Right. He's all over the prisons, isn't he? And understand, that's not me making fun of God. What I'm showing that
She's a good person. She's not a
it always comes out after they've done
Please
something
don't
wrong.
let this one stupid mistake define who Rita really is.
I don't know how I did that. That was pretty good, huh?
Please consider leniency, Judge. I just want to put how many the number there. All right.
He's speed reading. Wally
She made a horrible mistake.
was her
This
first
isn't a
husband.
person.
Okay.
There isn't a person in the world she doesn't love. Who would that love Christina more than Rita?
Yep. They always find God. Didn't find him before.
I don't feel that Rita deserves to spend the rest of her life in prison. People learn from their mistakes. She made the ultimate mistake that day.
Yes, she sure
Maybe
did.
she would take that off a day and teach people that the dangers of leaving a child in the hot guard. I hope that lapse of judgment could result in the ultimate reality. She's an awesome mom and grandmom to her family.
Sorry if that was loud. I want to measure how big this blanket is.
I'm asking the courts to find her not guilty and let her take care of her the rest of her family.
28. I'm at 28 inches. He's reading the impact statements from
Again, I'm asking the court to
from
find
her
Rita
family
not
and
guilty.
friends, yada yada.
Thanks, Mom.
I think he's only doing this because he would be.
I'm writing this letter for Rita, my mother, so we've heard from her, Elizabeth Clyde, already.
He would be remiss if he did not.
And you want me to read this letter as well? Okay. Letter from a cousin. Rita always wanted to be a teacher. Nothing's ever come easy for Rita. She fell in love with a boy from the Philippines named Wally. My uncle went nuts. After the first grandchild, things.
Okay, Rosie. Have a great night.
Rita and Wally had 3 girls, the last being Christina.
Yeah, there's something going on there, isn't there?
His endless years
There is something going on there.
college and some
Okay, I'm going to go forward a little bit.
Has so much love for her child. I know my heart this was an accident.
We got other things to.
Because we know her intention, and she loved Christina so much. She made bad mistakes. She got up. She hung out with people she shouldn't have hung out with, but that mistake should not define the rest of her life. We've already lost her sister. Please don't take our mom away. She has worked so hard, and the 4 years she has suffered, and everyone thinks she, just because she got married and she earns a living and she got back on her 2 feet, that she's outliving her life, but she has lived with regret every single day. She's worked so hard. The 2 jobs that she's had, she's made manager in each of the jobs.
Hey, Amanda.
Even knowing her background, her character has pulled her through so much. So we're just asking for mercy and understanding and compassion for my mom, please.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
My name is Anthony Leisure. I am Rita's husband. Rita has been an inspiration to me, Lord. Sir. He really has. I'm sorry, I'm nervous. She really has. And I pray that you give her leniency and allow her to come home. You know,
When a person is convicted of murder, there's a
I allow you the
minimum sentence.
will you please allow
Minimum
the minimum sentence, sir?
is 30 years. That's the minimum sentence.
Your Honor.
Maximum sentence is life imprisonment.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Your Honor, when I watched this video, I believed in my heart the car was running in air conditioners. And we hired an attorney, and I watched the second video. And then all of a sudden, I seen a scene that wasn't in the first video. I seen her going to the car. And I don't
You're not here to try to relitigate the case.
No, sir, I'm not.
Because you didn't testify.
Sir.
So we don't need your analysis of the facts of the case.
Wow.
Yes, sir. I asked the court for leniency.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name's Taylor Clyde. The woman in the black blazer is my wife. I'm the favorite son-in-law. I don't want to debate or bring any attention to any of the facts that happened on the day of question, but I do want to testify of the character that I've seen in Rita throughout my time of being in her family. It was always lavish Christmas gifts. It was always even with everybody else. Everybody had to have the same amount, the same ridiculous amount that I never got growing up. I always get solid hugs every time that we get together, whether it's at church, whether it's at holidays. There was always food that we would eat together, and I'd always have a ton to bring home. And after the events of the day in question, we got a chance to move her into a property that kind of was adjacent to my parents' home, which I thought was kind of cool. In her bedroom, right above her bed, wasn't a shrine, but it was a beautiful memorial to Christina, with a blanket that was Lake Dora themed, and it had Christina's name on it with a nice poem. There were several pictures of her hung on the wall, and I am not a parent, Your Honor. I don't have children at this time in my life, so I have no idea what it's like to lose one. But I don't know how she was able to deal with the pain of going to bed every night and waking up looking at the wall of pictures and not completely against her will reliving the events that happened and living without her. I don't have children yet, Your Honor, with my wife, but I would very much like to have their grandmother in their life when they come. So I'm asking for leniency as well. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That is okay, Gigi. We're just glad you're here. You're part of the family either way. Yeah, and I don't know. Did nobody got up and said anything for Christina at all?
My name is Tijuana Tucker. I'm a co-worker of Rita's. I've known her
Co-worker where?
at Walmart Distributions. Yes, sir. I trained Rita there, and we became friends, work friends, and we break together. Rita moved up very quickly and within Walmart. She made a huge impact on a lot of the younger associates. Got a lot of them permanent that came in temps.
Okay.
She loves her family. We talk about her family a lot. She shared a lot of videos of her and Christina with me on breaks, where she had an in-ground pool put in at home because Christina loved water, and she liked for Rita to throw her in to, excuse me, this water. Almost every day we laugh and talk about our families and things, even about the situation at hand. And it was a very tragic situation. And I personally don't think her nor Larry intentionally murdered that baby. They made a bad choice. Just actually.
You haven't been here listening to the law regarding murder, have you?
Sir?
You haven't been here listening to the testimony in the law regarding what constitutes murder.
I don't know.
Have you been here?
No, this is my first time.
The first time coming?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Rita's a good person, hardworking. I be with her anywhere between 10 to 12 hours, 6 days out of the week at work. She's a joy. She's a joy. She's a sweet person. She definitely made a lot of impact on a lot of the young ladies at the job. A couple ladies were going through some domestic violence, and she helped them through that. We all got together and went to HR and got people involved to help a young lady move with her 2 children, and Rita helped with appliances and stuff, and we got groceries for her and stuff like that. So she's been advocating and talking to the young ones and stuff like that.
Oh, so according to all these people, it was the drugs and the boyfriend.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm so glad to know that. Thank you. I appreciate that, Gigi. I don't put up with a whole lot, that's for sure. Of course, we can't hear him either. And that's right. There still has to be justice. Absolutely. I still do want to remind you guys, though, that it's just like we went over the Shabusiness case with methamphetamines. Okay. she took the drugs. And so that is not a defense to say that it was the drugs, because it doesn't work that way. If you take the drugs, you're responsible for having taken the drugs and then for having done what you did when you took the drugs. So I'm talking about what the law says. According, now I'm not a lawyer. I didn't do my disclaimer, did I? But I'm not a lawyer. I'm just like you guys. But from everything I've read and seen, you can't blame it on the drugs. You're the one that took the drugs. Just saying.
How old is she now? 53. The minimum sentence for murder is 30 years. 53 plus. If she gets the minimum sentence.
Well, as your honor, she served this community for 25 years. She's a teacher, not a teacher of the year.
The teacher of the year thing. We got to bring up that teacher of the year thing. I believe it was methamphetamines. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead to sentencing here, if I can find it. We got the circle of death. Is she talking?
Response by the state.
Did she say something? Dag burn it. Do we want to hear it? Hey, Divergent. I lost her
Well,
time.
you didn't write the law. You weren't thinking about the law that day, were you?
Her defense lawyer is very compassionate, I must say. He really does feel for her. Serbs is on the bone, y'all.
Anything else you want to tell me? Response by the state.
You know, you can just tell he's seen a lot of this. He has seen a lot of these types of cases with drugs and bad choices, and you can just tell that he has seen a lot of this.
The conduct of the defendants in this case, true, is being represented now by the defense. It's not a traditional murder. It's not where you pull a gun and shoot someone in the head. But your conduct can become so extremely reckless that it constitutes a willful disregard for human life and constitutes murder. To place the child in a burning car in effect and walking away is murder. To leave a child in a car for 6 hours under the circumstances that occurred in this case is murder. It's not one of the situations that we see. And there have been studies most recently where people forget about the child, believe that they have dropped the child off for daycare and various things. But that's not this situation where there's absolute total disregard for the child. Considering that the two of you were there around the car any number of times without doing anything to save this child's life and contributing to the child's death. And all the good things I've heard today, being a teacher, being a concerned person, being a wonderful friend, person of faith. That wasn't a person there on that day when you all were on this drug binge, at least as described by Mr. King. I've said it before that people we see in court are typically not the people that were out on the streets doing the things that landed them in court. And it doesn't get any worse than this as it relates to a mother and a child and the person with the mother dealing with the child. So the offense that you committed was murder. That's all there is to it. Of course you love the opportunity to turn back the hands of time, but you can't do it. Of course, you will continue to suffer for what happened to your child, but for being strung out on meth. And I've seen it time and time again. Was it methamphetamine we're dealing with? Yeah. But for methamphetamine and dealing with it, neither of the two of you would be here. But those were decisions that you all made.
That's right.
And that your minds were just totally contorted, and I don't know the minds of person on death, but I paid close attention to the witness who testified convincingly about the effects of methamphetamine on the brain. It's as if you didn't have a brain on that day at that time. And we're hearing about this mistake and bad judgment and all. I see it all the time with children, people we deal with all the time. I call them children, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, people who do these same types of things, kill people because they're strung out on drugs, high on drugs. And, the life sentence for them is more than the lifespan that you're talking about, because they're going to prison at ages 20, 21, 22, 23 for life. And you don't have the excuse that they might come in here with. Of course, none of it is acceptable. They will come in strung out on drugs, parents strung out on drugs, all kinds of things that play into them going wayward, going astray. And for you, a person who had a good reputation in the community, to throw it away chasing drugs, and then coming and asking me for leniency. And I'm trying to balance who's more at fault here, really, Mr. King or Ms. Panalinga. It's almost a toss-up. Mr. King put the child in the car, and per the video, just didn't care anything about the child. Just left the child there to die while they're pursuing each other. It's just it's almost unbelievable. How could you all do such a thing? And you can do such a thing because you're hooked on drugs, hooked on meth. Pardon?
Can't hear. Sorry. He's saying all the things that we want to say, isn't he? How could you all do such a thing?
That makes you having less an excuse, less justification. Your mind wasn't screwed up as you're telling us now. A mother who's not under the influence will leave their child in a car under those circumstances for 5-6 hours, who knew the child was in the car and knew the child had been in the car for that period of time, and drive off and leave the child.
Yeah, that too. They drove off to go try to get another set of keys.
Anything further?
They actually drove away. I know y'all would have been nice if we could have heard some more of this, but it is what it is. That's real life in courts.
It's his first time as well. Yes, sir.
I'd go forward, but we always miss something when I do. He does write down, like,
Doesn't help me clarify in my mind who is most culpable out of this situation, or are they equally culpable? Are there whose conduct was the most extreme? The mother who abandons her child in that setting and does nothing to rescue the child, who chooses Mr. King and her own pleasure over the child, or Mr. King who throws the child, he didn't throw it, places the child in the back of the car and shows no concern, compassion, or anything for the child, and in effect joins with the mother in the treatment of the child.
wow.
Though it wasn't his child, he initiated his role in it when he placed the child in the back of the car and when he did nothing to get the child out of the car. Yes, yes. And I appreciate that. You said that repeatedly, and I accept it, and I appreciate that. In my mind, I'm trying to make that determination because I'm going to have to sentence each one of them to a period of years. They might get the same. One might get 30, one might get 40, one might get 50. They might each get the same. I understand. Thank you. And I'm not attempting to pit one against the other. I'm just, yeah.
They didn't call 911 until they finally came back, got the door open with the key, the actual key, and found her dead. Then they called
I like
911.
people to stay quiet on me.
It's his job to plead for him. He's just doing his job. Hey, what are y'all drinking tonight? I got my California cup.
What is the penalty for great bodily injury? Yes, sir. And I looked it up before. I just wanted to be sure. All right, Mr. King, if you'll come off a sentence.
Here we go.
Mr. King is sentenced to the court on the offense of murder that you be committed to the State Department of Corrections for a period of 32 years. Great bodily injury, the sentence is 20 years. Sentences will run concurrent with credit for any time that you've already served.
Concurrent means at the same time.
Thank you.
Consecutive, he would have been in jail for 50 years. Yeah, wasn't that wild? They did it the same day. I thought that was strange too. I would have expected that to be on a different day, but not to. They must have agreed to that. He got 52 years, but he's going to serve 32. The 20 is consecutive.
This Panalangan, a lot of folks have said a lot of good things about you and a lot of positive impacts that you made on their lives. You're not being sentenced to death. You won't be facing a firing squad or a gas chamber or electric chair. Your life goes on. It'll go on behind bars, and you'll still have that same opportunity to make a positive impact on the lives of other people who you encounter. And I hope you do that.
Wow.
I simply cannot fathom a mother treating a child the way that you did and allowing that to happen to a child, to your child, the child that you birthed. Yeah. I don't know if the child at some point became a burden. I don't know what the circumstances were that would lead you to place the child in that situation. And as if you left and went to Atlanta, Georgia, or maybe we'll say not Charleston, to Myrtle Beach, and went there and got in the beach for in the water a few hours, and then came back, and then decided that it's a frantic situation. You did it. You have to live with it. And as bad as the conduct of Mr. King was, yours was worse.
Is that where they drove to?
In my mind.
They drove to Myrtle Beach? How far away did they drive to go get that extra key?
You can talk about intent where you have rational thinking minds, but extreme recklessness brought upon by drugs and alcohol is, we said, intoxication is not a defense, not an excuse. That's what in effect you're asking, and it's not. Sentence of the court is that you be committed to the State Department of Correction for a period of 37 years on murder, 20 years on great bodily injury. Sentences will run concurrent and you'll receive credit for time served. Do we have the number of days of credit that they're entitled to? Receive credit for 39 days.
They've served 39 days already.
And Mr. King, do we know how many
Okay,
days
that's
he
what
gets
he
credit
meant.
for?
Thank you.
Did Mr. Other guy left, Mr. The lawyers? Does anyone know? I'll just have that calculated by the Department of Corrections. Yes, sir.
Okay. That's enough of that for today. Goodness. Uh-oh. I don't know what happened to my camera. Yeah, she's 53 now. Yep. She with it does not look like she is a well person. Yeah, I see that. My computer's telling me that I've lost my camera. Yep, I see I lost my camera. I want to show Sandy if she's still watching. Ah, still lost my camera. I don't know. It depends on the state. Yeah, my other camera, for my hands, my second camera. That's what I mean by my camera, my second camera. Yes, that child was 13. She was 13 years old. Yeah, I don't think there would be any parole for her. Let me do that again. Hmm. Maybe my camera is just hot. It gets hot. I use a GoPro and it gets hot. Let me change the battery in it. We'll turn it off and we'll put a new battery in it and then we'll turn it back on. And that usually corrects all the problems, but we'll see. I don't think either of them are eligible. They have to serve that time. I'm not sure if you are still here, Sandy. It's still not showing up. Why does it not like it? We'll give it a minute. Yep. Rhode Island, 20 to serve, became 13 with credit for programs done in good time. Yeah, I don't know. Let me just show you, Sandy, because my camera's not working. I have finished. I finished the brim. Now this looks gray, but it is like a steely gray, and it's kind of a heather. It's a very, very light heather. And I'm using, know how well if it's going to come across to you. And I am using, oh, there it is, Barocco Vintage. And it is 52 acrylic, 40 wool, and 8 nylon. And this stuff feels fantastic. It's the first time working with this. I've had some vintage Barocco around here a long time, and it's my first time using it, and I absolutely love it. And then the second color, I haven't put it in there yet, but when I put the paws across, it, okay, I'll be a little bit farther along. This is what I had picked for the paws. What do you think of that? do that one for the paws across it. Okay, good. That's going to be fun, isn't it? That second one is cotton. It's the Crafter's Secret cotton, and it is called Mellow Fellow. It's called Mellow Fellow. It's 100% cotton. I can't wait to do the paws and see how it looks. Okay, I did bring out Stephen's book. You guys, this was the first book we did for book club, Murder Investigation Team by Stephen Keogh. He was a crime investigator for Scotland Yard. And in his book, he says something, and I wanted to read this to you guys because I thought I saw all of our discussion going on in the chat. And he talks a little bit about mental illness. So, how mental illness affects the process for a defendant. So, if a defendant suffering from a mental illness or an abnormality of the mind, which had a significant impact on them at the time of the killing, it is likely to affect their decision-making process. That is why it is separated in motives, meaning the killer must make a conscious decision to kill or cause really serious harm. If this process is affected by abnormality of the mind, which substantially impaired their ability to understand the nature of what they were doing, form a rational judgment, or exercise self-control, then they may be suitable for a partial defense of manslaughter by diminished responsibility. So I think it's important to think that way, because if someone is under the influence, it you have to understand that the jury looked at all of the evidence. If you have 5 hours in which to make that decision, 6 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours, the child was dead within an hour. In 1 hour's time, she could have died in that car. You had plenty of time in which to make a decision. And that's what you have to keep in mind. And the jury saw that. They saw that entire interaction that those people had. So it's important to know, yes, they were on drugs, but they have to not be able to know what they were doing. And there's no way in 6 hours that they didn't know. And then to get in a car and drive away because you were of the right mind that you could get in a drive and actually operate a vehicle and know that you were leaving her there. I mean, it's just ridiculous to say that they didn't know what they were doing. So you always get mellow mushroom pizza. I know. And not being able to do anything. She could not get out of the car. She could not do anything. Nothing. Okay. Absolutely. Mental health is huge, and I feel like we are we've actually come a long way in recent years in which we don't criticize the way that we used to and say, oh, she's crazy. We still say that, but it's something different. It's not about just that. It's not about just doing something crazy. It's about, mental health. We've just come a long way in our interpretation of those things, and the law has always been the law. And I don't think, it would be interesting to know if there has been anything related to mental health that has changed the law. I'm sure there are some cases out there. There have to be. There's always cases that change things in different ways. There's all kinds of cases. Okay. Are you working? Still not working. Interesting. Okay, that's fine. What? They call me Mellow Yellow. What, that? Okay. Also, I meant to get to a whole lot of other stuff. We did a lot here just watching that. I actually, did anybody see Buster's interview? Good night, Sandy. You take care. Lots of hugs for you. You take care. Yeah. I think we've at least come a little ways, and I would like to say that we have changed some things. You did. I have still not done that one either. There's so many I haven't done and I want to do. There are so many things on my list. Oh, that Buster. Y'all want to watch it? Y'all want to watch that little interview? Since my camera's not working. Goodbye, camera. No big deal. Life goes on. It'll work next time. You did see the interview. Yeah, it's not really very long. All right, let me find it. There's a couple of things I wanted to go over tonight, but I am so glad we watched Judge Newman. I don't know why, but it just really gives me hope. He's the kind of judge that gives me hope. Is that weird? I don't know how else to say it. Especially, hold on. I'm looking. I thought I had it bookmarked. Well, I guess I don't. I can find it though. He is like a warm hug. I mean, during the Murdaugh trial, y'all, he lost his son. And that man sat through that trial and just, look, Buster Murdaugh interview right there. All right, let me get it set up. Now I got to share my screen again. I had to shut it all down. I shut it all down. That's okay. There we go. Turn it back up.
conversation we're about to have with Fox News correspondent Nate Foy, highlighting some of the key moments after Fox's Martha McCallum sat down with Buster Murdaugh, and Nate joins us now to talk about that. Nate, good to see you. I think a lot of people are going to be watching this tonight. This is the really first moment he has spoken out at length since his father's sentencing earlier this year. What can we expect in this conversation?
Well, you nailed it. It's his first and only interview since his father went to prison. And Buster Murdaugh tells our Martha McCallum that he thinks the jury got it wrong. And the real killer is still out there. He says that he fears for his safety. He thinks about it when he goes to bed at night. A jury convicted his father, Alec, of murdering his brother, Paul, who was just 22 years old, and his mother, Maggie, back in 2021. Buster tells Martha he is confused by some of the evidence presented at trial. And he did have this to say about his father.
When I look up the definition of psychopath, like someone who can completely get away with lying and acting normal and carrying through as if nothing's happening. Does that describe your dad when you look at those definitions of that?
I'm not prepared to sit here and say that it encompasses him as a whole, but certainly I think there are characteristics where you look at the manipulation and the lies and the carrying out of that such, and I think that's a fair assessment.
Wow.
The documentary gives an intimate look at the Murdaugh family before and after the murders. There are never-before-seen home videos where Buster says at points he was closer to his mom. Paul was closer to Alec Murdaugh at points. We also see new footage of Alec immediately after the murders.
That you thought they rushed to judgment because the person who found the bodies was the easiest person to charge. Why would they want to do that to your dad?
I think it's one of those things where you have to do something. And I think that it was, and that's the option and the route that they decided to go with. My biggest thing that I want people to realize that there are always two sides of the story. Now they can pick which one they want to believe, but I think there's a heck of a lot that still needs to be answered about what happened on June the 7th.
Well, excuse me, but there are stories and then there's evidence. Just saying, there's a difference.
A heck of a lot of new ground was covered in this documentary. You'll even hear from Alec himself in private recordings of phone calls from prison. He reads his private journal in those recordings. He actually broke inmate rules in doing that and has now lost his phone privileges for 30 days because of it.
Yes. So that was the other thing I wanted to talk about. So Alex has been a bad boy and he lost his tablet. No more tablet, no more privileges, no more anything, because you are not allowed to speak to the media without the media first going through all of the proper channels. Okay. There are channels that the media is supposed to, they're supposed to ask, they're supposed to put in paperwork. Everything is supposed to be okayed. So what Alec did is he got on the phone with his lawyer, and then they did like a 3-way so he could talk to the media with the lawyer. So he broke all the rules and he lost his privileges.
Send it back to you.
Yeah, Nate, I remember, all throughout the trial, we heard the conversations, the phone calls between Buster and Alec while Alec was, in custody, in prison, while on trial. And so they kept in touch. They were in communication quite a lot. I'm also
That's right,
curious,
DC.
And, a lot of people are going to be watching this tonight. The role and the questions that have kind of surrounded Buster Murdaugh's, alleged role, if that is a thing, in the 2015 death of one of his classmates there in high school. Do you think that's going to be brought up as well?
I can tell you that it is brought up. You're talking about the death of his 19-year-old classmate, where Buster was also accused of having intimate relations with that male classmate. He denies that and denies having anything to do with his murder. This documentary certainly, as I said, covers a lot of ground. You really see an intimate look at the family through those home videos, and Martha covers everything that you would want to know from Buster, but not only Buster, other people that knew the family, as well as behind the scenes footage during the trial. She speaks with the legal team that was representing Alec Murdaugh. So it is certainly a must watch. I'm personally one episode in. I got 2 more, but I can personally vouch for it. It's very well done.
All right. As always, Nate Boy, we do appreciate all of your reporting, and definitely this is going to be a must watch.
Has that already come out? It's supposed to be a documentary that comes out on Netflix, or is he talking about episodes of interviews? I did not think.
Fox Nation tonight, Nate, thanks so much.
I know that they had something that was going to be coming out on Netflix.
I never.
When was this one? Oh, okay, so it is out. OMG, I've got to go watch it. You know what I'll be doing tonight? You don't have Netflix. Oh, Bree, I'm sorry. Okay, this is what I wanted to, the other thing I wanted us to listen to. Hold on. Stephen Smith. I noticed they weren't saying his name on the other networks. Is there something going on with litigation for that or something?
Had anything to do with his murder, and I never had anything to do with him on a physical level of any regard.
Buster Murdaugh speaking for the first time publicly in a Fox Nation documentary, denying any involvement in the death of his high school classmate, Stephen Smith. So what else did he say? Thanks for joining us here on Law and Crime. I'm Anjanette Levy. The only time the general public has heard from Buster Murdaugh was when he testified at the double murder trial of his father, Alec Murdaugh, earlier this year. Now, Murdaugh has granted an exclusive sit-down interview to Martha McCallum for a Fox Nation documentary, The Fall of the House of Murdaugh. Earlier this year, Buster Murdaugh issued a statement vehemently denying any involvement in Smith's death. This came after he felt podcasts and documentaries had cast him as a suspect in Smith's death, and after Smith's mother raised money to exhume her son's body so a second autopsy could be performed. For those not familiar with the case, Stephen Smith was an openly gay teenager whose body was found in the middle of a road in Hampton County in July of 2015. Smith's car was found a couple of miles away with the gas cap off. The first autopsy determined Smith died as a result of a hit and run, but the manner was listed as undetermined. Records related to the investigation showed the Murdaugh name came up several times throughout the course of the investigation as the small-town rumor mill churned. Documentaries played recordings of state troopers interviewing people who claimed to have heard rumors about Stephen Smith and Buster Murdaugh. Now Murdaugh is answering questions about the allegations for the first time.
His sister said someone approached her and said that you and Stephen were romantically involved. His brother says that someone approached him and says that you were with a group of young men who beat him with a baseball bat. What do you say to that? To both of those?
Absolutely baseless rumors. I unequivocally deny anything that you just read off of that piece of paper. I did not have any personal, intimate relations with Stephen, and that obviously cannot be proven because it is baseless. I never had anything to do with his murder, and I never had anything to do with him on a physical level of any regard.
No one has ever been charged in Stephen Smith's death, and the results of the second autopsy conducted after Smith's remains were exhumed earlier this year have not been released.
It was called Hold on. The Fall of the House of Murdaugh is this is on Fox. This is a Fox Nation documentary. So I don't know if that one. I don't know if that one is on there or not.
Conducted after Smith's remains were exhumed earlier this year have not been released. However, the attorney representing Smith's mother told Law and Crime that a state grand jury is investigating his death. Martha McCallum asked Murdaugh where he was the night Stephen Smith died.
Where were you the night that Stephen Smith was killed?
The night Stephen was killed, I was at our Edisto Beach house
With your family?
with my mom and my brother.
Two witnesses who can vouch for Buster Murdaugh's whereabouts that night, his mother Maggie and younger brother Paul, are dead. They were murdered on June 7th, 2021. His father, Alec Murdaugh, is serving 2 life sentences for the murders, but plans to appeal. So what has it been like for Buster Murdaugh? As some people have suggested, he murdered Stephen Smith.
What did you feel like when you heard that this thing was surfacing again?
Well, it's a lot like this, and you know, I don't want to be rude here, but have you ever been accused of murdering somebody? Well, let me tell you, this is very, 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 very. It's a terrible thing to place on somebody with absolutely no fact. I mean, it has harmed my reputation. I mean, people perceive me as a murderer.
This is the second time Buster Murdaugh has said his reputation
Oh, I can't.
has been harmed by what he calls lies. Whether he plans to take
Okay, that's enough of that too. Oh, man. Seriously? Okay. Very, 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 very. Very, 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 very. It's bad. It's very, very, very. It's bad. Okay. Thank you, Joan. Because at the very least, at the very, 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 very least, he's hiding something. They all are. That office, that family, those friends, they're all hiding something. Absolutely. Yep, I'm ready to go too. I'm donezo. Good night, Danny Banani. Thank you so much for being here. So, if you want to know what I think, I have always thought, and you can look at his behavior, I have always thought that it was Alec Murdaugh who was involved with Stephen Smith. Let that sink in for a moment and let you understand what you think. This is my opinion. I think it was Alec. And I think that Paul, and Maggie, I think they knew. I think they knew. They wanted to bring in the evidence where Alec had had an affair before, but the judge said it had been way too long. He was okay with it being brought in, but he said it had been a long time, so they weren't going to do it. And I think if Buster is trying to save his ass, Buster is trying to save his money, he's trying to save himself and everything that he knows. Everything that he grew up with, everything. That's what he's trying to save. He has a girlfriend who still believes he's innocent of everything. He's done no wrong. You know, who is also a lawyer. You know, you can always argue a lot of things and decide whether you really did anything wrong or not. Well, it didn't hurt anybody. There's always that argument. You have to be careful of that because you don't know who you hurt. So I'm out of here, you guys. Thank you so much. And all of you that who are watching tonight and anybody who's watching on replay tonight, thank you guys so much for being here. There was a lot more I was going to talk about, but we will get to it sometime down the road. There's BTK stuff that's out there. There's more Gilgo Beach stuff going on. So maybe we will talk about that next week, okay? Love y'all. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. And I will see you later, okay? And have some fun today. At some point in the day, have some fun. All right. Talk to y'all later, okay? And thank you.